Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing one of the rarest possible Pokemon in the entire Great League, Ceruledge. Ceruledge evolves from Charcadet, which you can get via hatching eggs. The issue is that any Charcadet you hatch is at level 20, which is too high of level to be Great League eligible when evolved. The only way to get one of these is by doing the Google Play research that was available earlier this year. And luckily enough, when traveling at the World Championships, I met someone who had one, and they traded it to me. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out an 8-2 run that I had with my brand new Great League Ceruledge. Hopping into the first match, picking up a positive lead as I lead Vigoroth into Mantine. When team building around Ceruledge, I did want this to be a little bit of a swan song here, a goodbye to one of my favorite Great League Pokemon, Vigoroth. So I have the Vigoroth on the lead, a Crunch Charjabug is the safe switch to hopefully lure out any potential ground types like Gligar, and then the Ceruledge as the closer. In this instance, my opponent is going to no-shield the Rock Slide to land double Aerial Aces. I'm going to farm up as much energy as I can and go for the CMP tie here. Body Slam is shielded, and I'm okay with letting this go because I think I can farm down in 2 Incinerates. They're energy dry, which means if I KO in 2 Incinerates, which I do, they don't get to another move, and I now have a big energy head start. In comes Gligar, and I'm not gonna bait. I'm going straight for the Shadow Ball into the Gligar. It connects, massive damage. Gligar going to fire off the Aerial Ace, and I'm going to commit the shield. They do need to switch out here, and they will. In comes Annihilate, and this game is over. There's just nothing Annihilate can do at this point against the wrath of Ceruledge. Flame Charge is shielded. They're at the back-to-back Night Slashes. Annihilate does have a pretty high attack stat, but guess what? Not higher than Ceruledge. Ceruledge winning charge attack priority, knocking out with the boosted Shadow Ball. In comes Gligar. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. There's a surprising Pokemon on the lead in the next match, hitting Vigoroth into a Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk has been nerfed into oblivion, yet here it is, still on my screen. This matchup a lot less good than you might think. Counter hits for super effective damage, but of course my Body Slams aren't going to be doing much of anything. So I'll go for the Body Slam, that's going to land. I'm going to force the CMP tie and go for an Undercharge. I would prefer that they knock me out, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get 2 Incinerates on Ceruledge farming down. So that's the goal of the Undercharge. Opponent undercharges as well. Aggressive switch into Ceruledge, met with Azumarill. Oh boy, this is going very, very poorly for me. I'll fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to do nice damage onto the XL Azumarill. Ceruledge, the definition of a glass cannon in the Great League. It can output some serious damage, but it cannot take a hit to save its life. These bubbles tearing it to shreds as it gets fully farmed down. To win this game, I'm going to have to go for a 1-shield farm down with the Charjabug and hope that Charjabug's energy will be valuable in the back. So with Charjabug, I'm going to be able to set up a very nice farm down, and I do have Crunch for the Galarian Stunfisk when they send it back in. They're not going to reveal the third instead, bringing in the Stunfisk. I'm going to throw this Crunch right before they're able to get to the Rock Slide. Crunch picks up the KO. In the back is a non-Shadow Venusaur. This game feels like I could potentially win it, but it's going to be tough. X-Scissor will connect. I'm farming up, and I'm firing off another X-Scissor. I'm 2 Volt Switches away from the move. The most logical time is for them to throw 3 in the move, so I throw 1, wait a turn, and get the catch onto the low health Vigoroth. The wait and switch, catching the Sludge Bomb, and now I should be in the driver's seat of this match. Venusaur can now just fire off Frenzy Plants, but I'm at the back-to-back X-Scissors, and unless they have the move loaded, they're not gonna win. Venusaur does not have the move ready to go, and the wait and catch wins us the game as Charjabug knocks out the Venusaur. And despite that scary mid-game, this game will end in a win. Good lead in the next match, leading the Vigoroth into the Shadow Whiscash. Shadow Whiscash should be going for the double Mud Bomb here, as double Mud Bomb does allow you to outpace the Vigoroth, whereas if you go for the Scald, then Vigoroth actually wins the zeros. They do go for the Scald. They're now going to save switch into a Shadow Tentacruel, and I switch into the Charjabug just to remember that, oh yeah, I don't have Discharge, so this is actually not an amazing matchup for me. They do get the 30% debuff chance. Unfortunately, I can't get the double up here on Crunches, so I'll just fire off this move. Opponent shields for switch, and this is honestly great. That should just win me the game. The reason being is that there's probably a Skarmory in the back. Anytime you see Whiscash and Tentacruel, it's going to be Skarmory. They only had enough for the Acid Spray, so I did not have to respect it. I can go for the Body Slam. Body Slam picks up the KO, clocks up. There's the Skarmory. In comes Ceruledge. They bring out the Whiscash, but now I can start ramping up these Incinerates. Shadow Whiscash can output extra damage, but that comes at a cost. Their defense is lower than a normal Whiscash, and they're just getting incinerated through, and the Mud Boy concedes the match because Ceruledge was gonna get that farm down. Great lead in the next match. As I end up leading the Vigoroth into the Empoleon, opponent save switches into Wigglytuff, and this opponent is clearly running Double Charm. Now I could just bring in Ceruledge right away, but if it is going to be a second Charmer in the back, I'm probably going to want Ceruledge then. My opponent is going to be firing off their move, going to be going for the Icy Wind. I will commit the shield, and then look to force the final shield. Because if I can get the final shield, then I'm just going to aggressively switch into the Ceruledge. I do get the shield, I switch into the Ceruledge, Incinerate KOs, goodbye Charmer. Oh, they're running Steel Wing on the Empoleon. I have seen a couple double Charmers where they are running Waterfall, Shadow Ball, one-hit KO. In the back is a Charm Whimsicott. Get that Toxic Team out of here. No. Get it out of here. And the opponent is going to resign the match. Bit of a tricky lead in the next match, leading Vigoroth into the Shadow Cresselia. I farm up, and I actually get a catch onto the Charjabug. Opponent baited with a Grass Knot, so the catch ends up being a very nice one. Shadow Crest, a pretty cool pick. I farm up a ton of energy. Okay, this opponent is definitely running some spice. Shadow Cresselia, Shadow Ferrothorn Core. And if Ferrothorn is their best response to a Charjabug, then they're just triple weak to Charjabug. Because this is not a response. Power Whip, not going to KO. I'm going to be able to throw on Great Timing. My issue is that an X-Scissor doesn't KO, and they're one away from their next move. So if I throw another Volt Switch, I get outpaced. So I'm forced to throw on Alignment, but it guarantees me a shield or switch. This time, I'm able to get switch. Opponent brings in the Feraligatr looking for the farm down, but I make the X-Scissor, force the shield, and now I can just bring in the Vigoroth. Vigoroth not going to get knocked out here. They're going to go for the Hydro Cannon and look to switch. I should have just switched into the Ceruledge to anticipate that play. They go for the Grass Knot, and now I'm just going to send in the Ceruledge. They haven't revealed their second move, and I'm a little bit worried about a potential future sight. So I will shield, and it only ends up being the Moonblast. So I'm just going to farm to 100. Opponent is able to make it to the Grass Knot. My ideal play in this moment is to undercharge a Flame Charge. This will give me an extra Incinerate and help to burn the Switch Timer. I go for the undercharge, it KOs, and suddenly I've lost. They can shield this, farm down, and they're not in Rock Slide range. But the opponent does not respect the Shadow Ball. They didn't know Ceruledge's moveset, and I'm somehow able to take the win. This next game looks dire though. Annihilate on the lead into my Vigoroth. I save switch to Charjabug. They try and catch a potential Discharge, but I'm not running Discharge, so I get to hold on to my energy, and now just spam out X-Scissors at their Charjabug. Charjabug, of course, if they're switching it in down energy, it means that they don't have a great response to my charge up. So I should hopefully be able to make a play for switch. And switch advantage would be very nice, considering the fact that I led Vigoroth into an Annihilate. So there's basically two schools of thought here. I can either just trust in the Ceruledge, or I can try and play for alignment, and I'm going to play for alignment. I try for the farm down, but they survive on 1 HP, and my calculation goes awry. I'm forced to throw energy, which is really not great, because their Annihilate is going to leave with a massive amount of energy. The Crunch is going to be shielded. They're going to get a farm down. They leave with so much loaded energy. They have well over a Shadow Ball, and I just have to bring in the Ceruledge. I think calling a Night Slash is my only win con. I shield anyway. I shield the Shadow Ball, but I'm going to get outpaced here. I'm forced to switch out into the Vigoroth. I'm going to be able to make it to the Body Slam. They catch onto a Skarmory, and in that moment, I know that I have made a fatal error in this game. If I just didn't play for switch, if instead I just played for saving 2 shields for Ceruledge, this game was a win. But instead, I played for alignment. They got way too much energy on the Annihilate. And a game that should have been a win, unfortunately, is going to end in a loss. Even if they didn't make the Brave Bird here and they didn't live that Incinerate on 1 HP, they still had a Shadow Ball on Annihilate and a shield. So either way, the game was lost. But man, what a heartbreaker to lose. We've got a much better lead in the next match, Vigoroth versus the Dugong. Opponent safe switches into a Shadow Poliwrath. I could have gone Charger right away, but I figured since I don't have Discharge, that I would just go for the Body Slam and then switch this in. Here the opponent thought that I got the one-turn switch, but I got the 0, so they throw an alignment, I get an entire free Volt Switch, and I get a farm down. I did run this team across 5 sets on stream, and I believe I went 11 and 14 with it, so didn't have the greatest results, but I ended up playing it for 2 sets this morning and went 8 and 2. So overall, ended up going positive with the team, factoring in the both days of sets. Here, the opponent actually respects the potential discharge and they shield, which was a pretty big surprise. And now up a shield, I'm in a good spot, but I make a misplay. I should have just brought in Ceruledge instantly, understanding that they were probably just going to pivot out. Here, the opponent again messes up the timing. Not quite sure where exactly I was at in the Incinerate, and they give me an entire free fast move again. And I mean, it's just game over at this point. They get the Night Slash boost, but it doesn't matter because I have 2 flame charges. So if they shield the first, I just throw the second, and there's just no way for them to win this. You bring in the Dugong, I can fire off this Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to grab the final shield, and before they debuff me, the winning play is just to go for the Body Slam. Body Slam, of course, only going to hit for neutral, but landing a Body Slam before a debuff, it just gets them too low. So even though they have energy, they realize there's just no way to win this game, and they will concede the match. We move to the next match, Vigoroth versus Altaria. Not a terrible spot to be in. A lot of Altaria teams will have water in the back, a lot of Altaria Azu cores, or if they're running the team that the new world champion Yakai likes to run, it could be the Feraligatr plus Registeel. In that case, if it is the Feraligatr plus Registeel, I really want to try and get shields down. They go for the Moonblast, but the Moonblast does not do enough damage. Vigoroth able to make it to Rock Slide number 2. Now I'm just going to switch into the Charjabug. Charjabug trying to make it to the Crunch, and getting to the Crunch, this is big. Unless they want a double shield, down goes Altaria. They let it go, and they lose a lot of energy. In comes Feraligatr. Feraligatr, I mean, if they're sending this in, they're pretty weak to what's in the back. I will commit the shield, and I'm going to look to throw 2 and then wait a turn. But Disaster strikes. I waited till I visually saw the Shadow Claw, but unfortunately the animation played slightly late. So I end up playing to a CMP tie that I do not win, which is really unfortunate. The good news is X-Scissor will still KO. In the back, it's Empoleon, and now my opponent is 1 off their move. If they overfarm, I can make a crunch, so I'm going to wait the turn and get another catch. I've been catching like that all day, and it's so much fun. Unfortunately, in this game, Ceruledge doesn't really get to do much. A Ceruledge is just going to be a meat shield here, getting 2 Incinerates worth of damage, and perfectly putting it into a range where 1 Volt Switch will KO. So I can bring in the Charjabug, get the farm down, and take the win, as the opponent still has 1 shield remaining. Familiar lead in the next match, Vigoroth into Mantine. Overall, pretty nice matchup. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide. They make a beautiful catch onto Whiscash. Oh my goodness. After all the nice catches I've been able to do so far, unfortunately, now it's my opponent returning the favor. I will fire off the Body Slam, but this does not KO. My opponent can withstand this damage, and as the Shadow Whiscash player, they should always be going for the Double Mud Bomb. His Double Mud Bomb will be able to force a shield from me, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So this opponent playing the magic perfectly, they make a great catch as well to make my energy not particularly valuable, so my opponent basically playing it perfectly so far. Whiscash Safe Switch is wild considering there's a lot of stuff that walls it, but unfortunately, I'm not running those Pokemon. They have Annihilate in the back. I just have to hope that Switch Advantage can win me this game. They absorb the energy on the Annihilate. In comes Ceruledge. Ceruledge, gonna farm up a lot of energy. They do have enough for the Shadow Ball, so I have a tough call to make. I shield. It is the Shadow Ball. In the back is Mantine, and I get to bring in the Charjabug. These Volt Switches are absolutely shredding the opponent, and I have a choice to make. Do I decide to throw a move? I say yes. I'm going to try and force their shields down and go for the debuff. The Crunch is shielded. We do not get the debuff. I live in Aerial Ace. They need the Water Pulse to be able to KO. It is going to be the Water Pulse. I just need to make it to 2 Flame Charges. I'm going for Flame Charge number 1. They're going to be committing the shield. The question will be, can they make it to another Water Pulse here? They're at a move. If it's the Aerial Ace, I survive it and win the game. But it's the Water Pulse. And unfortunately, my opponent made a couple good catches, and that doomed me in this match. Hopping into the next match, Vigoroth versus the Shadow Gligar. Vigoroth does win the zeros here, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to look to overfarm and fire off the Body Slam when they make it to a dig. Whether they go for double Aerial Ace or whether they go for dig and farm, either way, Vig still wins the zeros. They end up going for the dig, which is fine. I'm going to look to overfarm and then try and go for the CMP die, but the opponent's not going to fall for that. Instead, they're just going to commit the shield and look for a farm down. In comes Ceruledge. Opponent ends up throwing after only one wing attack there. I don't fault them because it is a mon that most people have not seen before, so they're not really sure what it has, so they just wanted to get some damage off. This, I know, can only be an Aerial Ace, so I'm just going to let it through. So Gligar does end up getting farmed down. What are they going to be sending in here? Gligar's out of the way. They bring in Feraligatr. I get to the Shadow Ball, and this is going to do a lot of damage. Shadow Ball into Feraligatr, does get shielded. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to bring in the Charjabug. Another situation where having Discharge would be nice. Crunch really did not do a lot for me in these sets. So I'm going to throw 2, wait the turn. They end up catching onto an Empoleon, but Empoleon, still a pretty good spot for me to be in. So let's do one more wait and catch. We've been doing those all day, and oh my goodness, I just had so much fun with the catches today. Now I get a full farm down with the Charjabug. They're one off the move with the Feraligatr, but this is X-Scissor range. So I can fire off the X-Scissor. X-Scissor knocks out the Feraligatr, and that is a good game. All in all, I had a ton of fun getting to run Ceruledge. Ceruledge overall, definitely more of a Pokemon for fun than for climbing. As you can tell by the fact that it is just absurdly frail. So if it's a Pokemon that you don't have, it's not like you're missing out on like a meta-defining Mon. I was able to go 8-2 with it, but a lot of it was some very careful play. Ended up having to do a lot of game-winning catches, and of course the Vigoroth plus Charjabug core being a very strong one as well. But still, with it being the end of the season, and we have a lot of fun move updates coming up, I wanted to have some fun with it, and man, I had a lot of fun. Back-to-back 4-1s with this team, especially at a decently competitive elo, like I started low 2800s, ended up low 2900s, I think like 2820 to like 2900 something. So overall in a legend push elo. So an elo where people are definitely still giving it their all. And Ceruledge cooked today. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.